Hi, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I have a project for you with one of my basket sets. This is Holiday Basket. I've gotten a lot of requests to use the different sets in my videos in this series. I think I've got maybe 6 or 7 sets in here between Spring and Holiday Basket, Basket Editions 1, 2, and 3, and then Beyond Baskets and Beyond Baskets 2. There are so many combinations you can make when you start putting a few of these sets together. This is probably the best-selling set in that line, Holiday Basket, and it has images and greetings perfect for the fall and winter holidays that are coming up. The card that we're going to be making today, I have some simple coloring techniques, but also showing you how to piece these baskets with some great paper in the new Stamp TV kit, and also how to add a little interactive touch with these handles, and that's always fun on a card. In addition to the Holiday Basket set, you will also need some blocks for those different size images. I've got a Gina K charcoal brown pad for stamping the images, some scissors for cutting those out, and a piercing tool for adding some brads. The markers that I'm using today, I've got these Spectrum Noir CG2 and DG3, the GB4, the DR6, and the GB8, and we'll do some tip-to-tip coloring with those. Just a little bit of adhesive, and then I've also got some foam squares, and finally we've got some pattern paper and some cardstock. So this is the Gina K Pure Luxury Cranberry Tart, Ivory, and I will post the measurements below, and then just a strip of paper from that Autumn Blessings kit. So I was looking through all the different patterns and I saw what beautiful prints these would be to look like textures on a woven basket. So I'm using the diamond pattern on today's card. Let's go ahead and begin by stamping that basket and the handles in the charcoal brown, and you can decide if you think it looks better with the diamonds going across the basket or up and down. I like them across, so I'm just going to stamp that right onto the paper, and then we will do 2 handles. And then I'm going to cut those out. And if you would like to add some shading to this basket, you can. I tried that on another one just to see and just to show you as a sample, but you lose some of the detail when you do that of the patterned paper. So I want to show you too, you don't always have to do a lot of shading if you're not as comfortable with your coloring, or you don't have as much time, or you just don't have as many materials. I want you just to keep going, and there's all different looks. So I thought that this paper piecing on the basket really works. Some other prints, it's not going to make as much sense if you've got very large, let's say huge flowers that are meeting up and going across those woven pieces, if you know what I mean. So cut that out. It's basically like a rectangle. Also, if you think this beaded edge is too fussy for your card or your recipient, then you can just simply trim that off. And then I'm going to cut these handles. And then it already shows a little spot that you can poke through if you want to add brads to make it look like they are nailed in, but you can also just attach them with some adhesive if you don't want the brads, but it serves a dual purpose that it allows them to swivel, and then you also have a little bit of bling on your card. So I'm going to take just a mouse pad to go through that, and I'm going to lay this on here. And I'm going to just look and see where I want to stamp those flowers so that I know that I have room for my greeting in the bottom of those handles. So this one says, "Thankful for you and all you do." So I really wanted this to be something that you could use for Thanksgiving, but also just for thank you cards throughout the year. And the other long greeting in that set is, "May your holiday be filled with love." It works for a lot of different occasions. That's why I was unspecific about the holiday. Okay, so there's the greeting. And right about there. And when we take the basket away, we could mark that with a pencil or something if we wanted, but you have a little bit of wiggle room where you're going to stamp these flowers. And I decided to put them behind the basket instead of hanging out over the front, because if they were out over the front, then that wouldn't really make sense with my handle. So that's why I did it that way, but I know you've seen other cards with me doing it that way. So this, it looks like they're more contained and then just spilling out the edges. So let's color this real quick. So I'm going to use some of the CG2. So I found that these poinsettias, if you want to create a fall card, rather than doing a lot of red and pink on them, you can just make it look like a big collection of leaves when you add different autumnal colors. But I also found through a Google search that there is actually a summer poinsettia, and those come in a lot of different varieties and really beautiful yellows and reds and oranges, and sometimes even mixed on the petal. So the way that I came up with my design for coloring this is I just pulled different colors out of that pattern paper. So I'm just going to color a few of these leaves, filling it in with that base color, and then I'm going to take this darker green, the DG3, and I hold this in my non-dominant hand to just pick up a little bit of color. And that's how I remember, if I keep the lighter marker in my right hand, that's what I'll touch to the paper to add the color. So it's very subtle, and just add those in between shades that you want. There's a lot of difference between these two, and I'll just put it down so that you can see. So that's pretty dark, but you can also blend it out that way. It just takes a little bit more time. Okay, now let's go in, and I decided to stamp this in brown because it makes the pine cones super easy to color, but it's also a nice base for the pine needles. And then I like to put 2 colors of green into my pine needles. Just gives it more depth. And then I'll use the GB8 on this pine cones. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this GB4. So just coloring these quickly. My phone is going off in the background. Shame on you, phone. This is telling me to pick up my little boy, so I gotta step on it. Okay, so then I'm gonna add just a little bit of red. Dot some in the center there, and then just a little bit more of that tip to tip. And you can do a color like yellow and red. Obviously they blend, but the red is much darker, but it's going to blend right off of the tip of that alcohol marker, so you don't have to worry about it staining your yellow marker. These blend really well, so just as much as you want them blended, as much red as you want to add. And you might choose just to leave some yellow. I'll just leave it like that. Okay, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of adhesive to the back. And then just layer that over. And I'll take my piercing tool. I'm just going to poke down into, actually, I'm going to put this on here first. Poke this so you can line up the holes. It doesn't have to be exact because you're not going to see behind it, but just so kind of for spacing. So poke through. And here. Just to line up. Poke it through. And then add our little brads. And this was an embellishment from an older Stamp TV kit, so I still have a bunch of these. They have this nice burnished copper finish. Okay, so just poke these through. And bend the prongs back. And I leave these a little bit looser. You don't want it to be too tight because then it's going to be hard to make it turn. And I usually do full mats when I'm using my pattern paper, but I decided to use a little strip today. Texted Gina and got her opinion. She also really liked it portrait style, but you'll see you could also do this. It's a large image, but it takes up a lot of your card front. So that would be really pretty as well if you wanted to do a portrait style card. So I'm just going to add some adhesive here and center that card. And then I'm just going to use some foam squares I like to use the lighter ones if I have a light piece of paper, because it does fade a little bit over the time. You can see those dark ones through the paper sometimes, but probably not this heavy base weight Pure Luxury. Actually, yeah, I don't think I did use Pure Luxury. I mean the heavy base weight. I've got the thinner one, but I would recommend using the heavy base weight when you've got brads going through, just so that it doesn't press in when you have your foam squares, since those stick out a little bit. So this is popped up, so I'm just going to lay this right on the card. See? And then it opens up like that. So sweet, very easy to do. I hope you enjoy this project, and I hope this gives you a lot of ideas for the different baskets and all those fun fillers in the different basket edition set. Please visit my blog, Hands, Head, and Heart, and visit us on Stamp TV and Gina K Designs. Thank you for watching today, and God bless.